You're listening to the Millennial's Choice Show, Canada's most trusted podcast on all things real estate, finance, and entrepreneurship. Here's your host, Matthew Ablakan.
What's going on, everybody? Danny Ablakan here in the house. This is the Millennial's Choice podcast and the show. My co-host here with me is Matthew Ablakan. What's going on, Matt?
What's going on, Danny?
What's so funny?
Nothing. Just in a smiling mood today.
Nice. We got a really good episode for you guys here today, but before we get into it, make sure to smash that like button, smash that follow button. Make sure to leave us a comment in the messages. We love to read them all. And if you're not, if you don't have the notification bell lit, better hit that notification bell right now because we're dropping some hot stuff coming soon.
We've got some fire in the pipeline, guys. I've been working really hard. We've all been working really hard, securing guests, recording the content, taking time out of our days. And we've got some fire. We've got some big things.
Some big things coming up.
Big things popping.
But we got some really exciting stuff to share today. Today's actually more of a fun day. It's a
therapy session.
It's a therapy session for us, honestly. So it's called. It's another episode of what grinds my real estate gears. So always happy to have these ones, have these talks, because there's no shortage of what grinds my real estate gears. Do you want to start us off with today's episode?
There are definitely no shortages, and one day, if the kids are watching this. Even audio, like our clients, like I hope you guys appreciate this. Like this is some of the stuff we go through that you don't see in our business.
Yeah.
It's all the smoking. A lot of it is smoking mirrors in our business, and then you don't see this stuff that the real grinders, the real guys that are and ladies that are working have to go through in this industry, because this is a great, wonderful industry. There's a reason it's lasted this long in history, is because there's a need for it.
Yeah.
And if you know what you're doing and you know how to treat people right, you know how to get along with others, you know how to play ball, you know how to negotiate, you know how to do all these things, you can build yourself a great career in real estate. And there are many great realtors out there, part of the Toronto Real Estate Board, in Ontario, obviously all around the world. And so there's a lot of great ones, and there are even more bad ones, because it's the barrier to entry in this career so low that everyone feels like, oh, well, I just watched an episode of Selling Sunset, and like, damn, these open houses for these brokers look fun, and they're all making $700,000 when they sell one property. So why not? If I could sell a tenth of that property, I'll be satisfied as a side income. Those are not the great ones. Okay. Yeah. The great one, and the other ones that are going to the open house are also not the great ones.
And I was just going to say, this is a disclaimer that, there are good apples and bad apples. So just want to put that out there. And we're just kind of, like we said, venting about the experiences that we have with some of those not so shiny apples. Yeah,
exactly. This exists in every single industry, you guys. You definitely do not want to be a bad apple. You definitely want to be a good apple. You want to communicate well. You want to communicate effectively. You don't want to step on anybody's toes. You want to treat people right. You want to become more knowledgeable and valuable to your clients so they could stick with you.
Yep.
You never want to, undercut somebody else. You don't want to engage in shady business practices. You don't want to think about the short term. You want to think about the long term. These are all things you got to do to be great. But again, that's not the topic of today. The topic of today is what grinds our real estate gears, what grinds our gears in general, and when it comes to business. And I could share a very, very recent example. If you can I go ahead?
Go for it, buddy.
Okay.
I'm ready for mine too. I can't wait to share it, but go for it.
So not only this helps us vent about what we're going through, help you understand what we go through, but also teaches you that if you are looking to do a deal of this nature, of this example that I'm going to share with you, then you need to know what you can do to secure that deal better. Learn from this experience, and you need to know what you need to do to learn, to capture this deal, secure this deal in the future.
Yeah.
So more recently, I had a developer of mine reach out to me about a property. We looked into the property and we made an offer. Dealing with this agent, this realtor, I knew from the beginning, like something was off in the sense of just how she goes about things. And I said, okay, well, you got to give people the benefit of the doubt. So I submitted the offer.
For sure.
I submit the offer. After speaking with her, we just get a response. Client rejected your offer.
I hate those. Those are the worst.
No feedback.
No explanation.
No explanation. No
oh
hello.
Oh my gosh, I can't stand.
No
that.
hello. No nothing.
That is one of the worst.
Client rejected your offer.
Yeah.
Now, think of it this way. Just a little bit of context. Property was sitting on the market for like 6 months. The property was sitting on the market for 6 months. Let's just use examples in terms of numbers. They were asking 500,000 and we gave them like 250,000. It was a big low ball.
That was a really
offer.
big low ball. Okay. Why were you surprised, Matt?
Well, because they were sitting on the market for 6 months, meaning the 500,000 is not realistic anyway. So what's
That's
realistic? 400,000.
Yeah.
Then that makes the 250 look a little bit better.
Yeah.
They come down a little bit.
You want to
we
feel
go up
them out
a little bit. Yeah, we'll do the deal. So anyway, she rejected the offer. That was fine.
Yeah.
The feedback wasn't there, which is, again, you should always give feedback if you're a realtor to another realtor. Why not? We appreciate it. We submit a second offer. And we went up 50 grand. So let's say 300,000 now.
Okay.
Client rejected your offer second time around.
Nothing, no feedback again.
No. And we every week we're submitting the offer. So now 2 weeks have gone by.
Okay.
So now I call her and I go, look, so-and-so. I go, how do we get a deal done here? There's nothing wrong with asking that question. I'm not asking her to reveal confidential information that her client has given her. I'm not revealing any confidential information my client's given me. I'm just asking, how do we get a deal done here?
Yeah.
Because your client keeps rejecting the offer. And, is your client's expectation the asking price? Because if it is, we're not there.
It's a waste of time.
It's just a waste of time. We don't want to waste time. Those are fair questions to ask.
Yeah.
And she said, I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, man.
Didn't give any feedback. And I said, look, we're the right buyers. We're here to make a deal happen. And, I'm going to send you an improved offer, but get me a counter offer. So I do that. And she gets me a counter offer. They're listed at, let's say, 500,000. She gives me a counter offer at 495. And I'm like, okay, that's not a real counter offer.
Yeah.
That's equivalent to rejecting our offer.
Pretty much.
Right? And so we said, you know what? Let's let that deal die, right? So 3 weeks go by. Now, 4th week, we submit a better offer. She counters the offer with a good offer, with like a reasonable one. Like we're getting close now. Instead of my clients now putting their best foot forward, this was their mistake. Not putting their best foot forward, they decided to lowball again, and the deal dies.
Oh man!
Over the weekend.
Yeah.
Now the deal dies over the weekend, and as a result, she ends up getting a second buyer that she represents. Now, a second buyer comes her way 4 weeks later that she represents. When she represents it, typically the real estate agent is making more money.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's hard to prove that offer was better or worse than yours, because the justification for why an offer could be better or worse doesn't have to be well defined. It could be well, I didn't trust this buyer. Something about them was off.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean the price is higher.
There's nothing tangible necessarily about it. Someone could just say, we've been dealing with this buyer for 4 weeks. If they were serious, they would have tied it up. Yeah. They didn't. Even though their price is better, even though maybe their conditional period is less, that offer maybe isn't good. So the point is, you can't prove it. So now we're kind of scrambling, my client and I. And I had told my client, you should put your best foot forward at the very beginning. We should have done this weeks ago. But the realtor goes, oh, well, too bad, Matt. There was a language barrier between me and my clients. And now, we gave you a counter. You guys didn't want it. And now we're working with the other one. She did not go about the whole process properly with this particular offer in terms of having multiple offers. I know she didn't go through it properly. And the offer that was accepted is in fact worse than ours in terms of, closing date, conditional period. I'll put it to you this way, Danny. What would you do? If you have two offers, and let's say one of them is for that same listing, one of them is at 450,000.
Yeah.
And one of them is at 400,000. It's $50K difference.
Okay.
And the one at 400,000, in 45 days, they're going to firm up the deal, meaning they're going through with the deal.
Yeah.
But it's 50,000 less than the other one. And the other one is 6 months, 45 days of conditional period, or 6 months to try to get an extra 50 grand, 6 months.
Yeah.
Which one would you say when you presented it to your client you're not going to steer them, but which one would you say, like, if it was mine, I would choose this?
I was just going to say, like, if it was me and I'd wanted to flip it and get rid of it quickly, I would definitely go for the 45-day, the less one work. Because I know it's more certain that it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Because 6 months is a long time. People don't really like...
It's half a year.
Yeah, people don't really like take that in when they're doing real estate deals. Sometimes I've had buyers say, could we do like a 6-month closing? I'm like, that's really long. Like, you shouldn't do that. That's bad. Like, it's not even good for you as a buyer. Because what if the market goes down? Right. But yeah, I would definitely pick the one that was quicker.
There's pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
Obviously, if someone's not in a rush, they'd say, yeah, you know what? I might wait the 6 months. But here's the thing. You're tying up your property. You know, if the deal doesn't go through, it sends a message out there to potential buyers that, oh, something's wrong with it because it was tied up and then somebody changed their mind.
Because that means something may have come up.
Yes.
That would be bad.
The market can change for the worse.
Yeah.
And now the buyer backs out of it because they had all this time to back out of it.
Yeah.
The market could change for the better, and now you regret tying it up that long.
That too.
Your money's locked in for that long.
You may have potentially lost money.
Well, that's the conditional period, 6 months.
Yeah.
Which means the closing date would be after
further than that.
Our closing date was 120 days.
6 month conditional. That's crazy.
And our closing date was 120 days.
Wow.
Theirs was over 6 months.
Wow.
So I don't know how she justified to her client that this is a better deal.
That doesn't make sense.
Nonetheless, that happened. And to this day, she hasn't posted on the MLS that this is now sold conditionally.
Wow.
And what the condition is about, how long it's for, all that. So she's playing games. She didn't go about it the right way. Also, the deposit wasn't received the very next day, meaning that deal is now null and void. And we have an opportunity to win back that deal. She didn't give us that opportunity. Yeah. Even when she got the second offer, we submitted multiple offers that were improved. She didn't give us that opportunity. And to be very honest with you, I've never done this, but I was very tempted to like get my client, like go ahead and do a RICO complaint because she's not going about it the right way. Technically, that deal is null and void. You can go after it really. And unfortunately, she went through a very personal situation that week, which she shouldn't have been working in the first place, but she made us aware of it. I don't know if she made us aware of it to soften our hearts to not, file a complaint. But either way, we're like, it's not worth it.
It's not worth the time.
The deal wasn't meant to be. It's fine.
Yeah.
But what grinded my gears though was how she went about it from day one, how she didn't manage her client's expectations, how she was all, not telling me there's a language barrier and things like that. And then at the end, she gets her own buyer. She never answered her phone. She never responded to any emails. She only responded to certain texts. And she never ended up reporting it properly. She never ended up dealing with the multiple offers properly because we submitted offers that were improved. That grinds my gears. And now if you're a client listening to this, it's important for you to understand, like, she did a better deal that, in my opinion, was better for herself.
Yeah.
So her seller didn't get a better deal. Why would you want a 6-month closing versus a 4-month closing? Why would you want a 6-month conditional period versus a 45-day, month and a half conditional period? That just doesn't make sense for an extra $50,000.
Yeah. And especially.
So if you're a seller, that does, like, be careful who you're hiring. Be careful who you're hiring because those are the games that they can play.
Yeah. You got to be careful who you hire. And I just can't believe like that mindset, like a lot of these like bad apples have when it comes to, let's say, for example, like we're the buyer and like you're going to them with what they're looking for, an offer. And it's like they treat you like you're a hostile threat, like you're the enemy. And it's like, I'm here to work with you. Let's make it work together so that we find some common ground, because obviously that's what it is. When you're negotiating, you try to find common ground, right? Obviously, when you're representing the buyer, the agent representing the buyer has to have the buyer's best interest at heart, right? Yeah. If they're the client, and vice versa for the seller and the seller's agent. They're trying to get them the best deal, but you're trying to find the common ground. I can't stand it when there's certain agents where it's just like, oh, you're my enemy. Like I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to give you any feedback or anything like that. That personally grinds my gears a lot. But
oh yeah, a lot of people take it from that perspective, and I just don't understand, because it is a very adversarial business in the sense of there's two sides to the equation, like buyer and seller, let's say. And I get that, but that doesn't mean it needs to be
adversarial. like take it easy. Like it's one of those things where it's
it doesn't. It is adversarial just by nature, but it doesn't have to be tense. It doesn't have to be, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be combative.
Yeah, combative. Yeah. Sorry, that's what.
It doesn't have to be combative.
Like,
it's just you're representing your client, we're representing ours. How do we do a deal?
Yeah.
And it's like the agents that think that way, they don't go very far. I've never heard of this agent before. She might make this commission, she may not. Either way, if she was smart for her client, she would have called me and said, look, we have a better deal that the client's willing to accept. What are you guys willing to do? And we could have said something along the lines of, you know what, you could maybe, would this make a difference? Save your client on the commission, and my buyer will pay the commission, or stuff like. We could have figured out a deal to make the deal work. But when you see those things as like, these are better things for my client. Okay, they're going to get 50,000 less, but a much quicker closing, especially in this market. You have to know the market you're in.
For sure.
Much quicker due diligence period. We've already tied up this deal twice before with 6-month conditional periods, and they didn't go through with a different buyer.
Why go through that
Why
again?
go through that again?
For sure.
Right? And if you thought about it that way, then you would have called and said, how do I incentivize the buyers now to get an even better deal for my clients? Maybe we would have reduced the conditional period. Maybe we would have moved up the closing. Maybe we would have offered a little bit more money. You don't know. Not a single phone call, not a single response. In fact, her emails, without us knowing she went through something personal that week, her email that she did respond to, I thought you didn't want the property anymore, she said. Gosh. She literally said that in writing. I'm like, are you nuts? You clearly don't know how to negotiate, but at the same time, you're doing your client a disservice. She was gratified by the fact that we didn't get the deal.
Yeah.
That's what made her happy.
That makes me sick, yeah.
And I'm like, your client is an elderly woman. She's selling this property she's had for generations, right? You need to make sure you get her the best deal possible at all times. You always have to make sure that.
That's what comes first.
And then you let the client decide. You give them hear both, pros and cons to both.
That's what we do.
And you let them decide, right? But that really grinded my gears, because then my client was really upset. And unfortunately, the client was upset at themselves, because I told them, I said, you shouldn't have played that game from before. My advice to him before was put your best foot forward, best and final offer. We're not going to revisit this. This is what it is. And we would have gotten the deal. Because then when we did the back and forth like 3 weeks later, and they gave us a good sign back, it was in line with what our best and final would have been anyway.
Yeah.
So we ended up giving more when we knew there was a second offer than what we could have got it for during the sign back. So my client was upset at themselves, but lesson learned. And I told them, I go, guys, it's a 6-month conditional period.
You never know.
I go, that deal might fall through. Most likely it will. Why does the person need 6 months to figure out conditions? It doesn't make sense to me.
You never know.
Yeah, so that really grinds my gears, working with a very unprofessional, realtor that it's just, they leave a stain on the entire industry. That's that realtor for you. And this was a development deal as well. So they had no business doing they have no idea about development. They've never developed a property themselves. They have zero idea about it. And that also bothered me, the fact that she wasn't as specialized in that particular property type.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little bit harder to do the deal.
To navigate through it 100%. Yeah.
That's my spiel. That's my one big recent spiel that's been like lingering.
That would have grind my gears too, Matt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Something that happened to me, I found it pretty funny, but it does grind my gears in a way where it's like, in the moment, it's just like, really? Like, this doesn't make sense. And then I obviously don't really care much about it after. This didn't happen recently to me, but it happened this past a couple of years. I remembered it the other day though, because I started laughing. And long story short, we're selling a pre-construction site, and somebody had reached out to me from Instagram, and they just wanted more information. So we set up a call, and long story short, they were just to me, so yeah, I'm really interested in this project and stuff. And I said, yeah, no problem. I'll get you all the info and everything like that. And I asked him the question I asked right away is, are you working with an agent? And he's like, oh yeah, I have another real estate agent. I'm like, okay, so, why are you coming to me? Because you know what I do, because he knows me. And I'm like, I'm a real estate agent too. So he's like, I was hoping you could get me the info, but I want to use my agent to buy it. And no, seriously.
That really grinds my gears.
That's bad. Guys, come on. Just use some sort of common sense.
We're business owners, you guys. We get paid when a transaction goes through. The other reason that previous transaction grinded my gears is I worked for 4 weeks on it and we're not getting paid anything.
Nothing.
Imagine you worked 4 weeks on a particular deal in your life or at your job.
At your job.
You know, well, the thing is I wasn't spending all my hours every single week on it. But let's say you spent 4 weeks working on a project and you don't get paid anything on it.
It's tough, man.
Even if we secured the deal, there was a chance we wouldn't get paid on it. So that really grinds my gears. How can you guys have respectfully, you know, Danny, respectfully, the people who listen to this and watch this, I can confidently say that they're not dumb enough to come to us and ask that.
No, for sure.
The people who do ask that, like, what is going on
in your head?
It shows me that number one, you're not knowledgeable. Number two, you have zero respect for me and my family and what I'm doing. And like, just why? Like we just talked, we have an episode about creating win-win situations. Why would I do that?
What's in it for me kind of thing.
And that's happened to us. We've been burned like that in the past because people are not forthcoming.
Yeah.
They're not transparent with what they're trying to do. At least this person was transparent enough to tell you that because you asked.
Yeah.
But so what happened?
So long story short, I'm like, so that's not going to work. And here's why that's not going to work, because we're on commission. Obviously, we only get compensated for the work that we do if you end up buying through us, whether it's a resale or a pre-construction home. And I said, if you already have an agent and you want to work with that agent and you've already signed with him, then I would say get him to do his job and to go get the information for you. Like, why else would you use that agent if they're not capable of doing the job you hired them to do?
Carson's eating a banana, and I just feel like saying, this is bananas.
No,
man.
this is bananas
right now.
Picture this, guys. For anyone listening to this, picture this. Yeah. Imagine you're like a contractor or somebody, and let's say I called you and said, hey, I need you to come do my cabinetry. Let's say I want you to come put new cabinets in to my house, let's say. And you come to my house, you measure all the cabinets. You're like, okay, this is how much it is. And I say, okay, like, sounds good. Thank you. Can you do me a huge favor? The measurements you just spent an hour or two doing, can you get those measurements and email them to this email address? And then the guys say, wait, whose email is this? I'll say, oh, it's my cabinetry guy. He didn't have enough time to come and measure them. I just wanted to call you to come measure them for me, but I'm going to use him. Guys, come on. That does not make sense. That guy's going to look at you like you have three heads and be like, what the hell's wrong with you? I was just here for a couple hours.
It doesn't
It's the same thing for us, though.
In any business, it doesn't make sense if you do that. And again, it's a lack of respect, lack of knowledge, lack of empathy, lack of... That person, to me, is not a good person. As weird as that sounds, like, I'll go that far to say that you're not willing to consider others.
Yeah, like you're so self-absorbed.
So what did they say?
And he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's it. I left it at that. And he's like, okay, I'll have him, like, get it. I'm like, yeah, like, that's what you should have done from the beginning. Like, I don't understand that. Like,
it puts you in such an awkward position.
Like,
just
what do you want me to do?
Like, what do you want me to say to
like,
that?
how can I help you? Like, you know what I mean? And obviously, like,
how can I help you? I'm not going to chat ASAP.
Like, yeah, but here's the thing, though. Like, obviously, like, the way we are.
No, you still try to give them the benefit of the doubt, because if that person said, you know what, my realtor is my cousin, and I really don't want to work with them because they're not great at what they do, number one. And number two, I don't want my cousin to know my business. But I have to work with them. I respect that if they said it that way.
Yeah.
Is there a way we could do this deal with both of you?
Yeah.
And then you could have said, okay, you know what? There is a way. This is the way we can do it. And the way would be like, okay, we'll both represent you.
Yeah.
Like, I'll represent you and they'll get a piece of the commission. We'll do a referral.
Exactly.
You know, you could have made it work that way. Yeah. But if they're like, their whole thing was they weren't willing to do it. His whole thing was, I want the information from you, and then I want to go with him. Then that shows me that you're not able to do a deal with that person.
Exactly, because we're open to obviously doing that and working together, like we have talked about in previous podcasts.
We've done it
with people.
I've done it multiple times with people.
But yeah, this person specifically grinded my gears because he did not have that intent at all. It was just to waste my time.
Yeah,
and there was no respect. That was the biggest thing. And I was like, wow, I can't wait to never like talk to this person ever again, because I know that person just wants to waste your time.
Well, business wise, like, unless they come to you again, they change it. You always leave the door open. No, you don't burn the bridge. But if you got to burn it, you burn the whole thing.
Oh man, but that was what really grinded my gears.
That's happened to me like a lot. If all those deals that's happened to me too, like didn't happen, and we did the deal, I'd be on an island somewhere. Honestly, right now, like there is like there are deals where like we've met with I've gone as far as the person is referred to us by someone. Now, this rarely happens when it's a referral, because they want to respect the person who referred them to us. Yeah. But this has happened I know once where it was a referral, and it's like, man, 3 meetings with them over Zoom. This was during COVID.
Oh damn.
Going through floor plans with them. They pick the floor plan. They pick which one they want. And then all of a sudden, that's Friday. Monday, I followed up. Oh yeah, we went in yesterday and we bought the deal with the builder. And I'm like, well, what do you mean?
Are you for real?
And they didn't even want to tell me the truth. And so what I did was I went to the builder and I said, hey builder, like obviously we have a good relationship. I said, these are my clients. I have all the correspondence. I have all the Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
This is my course. They said, no problem. They said, here's the problem though. The builder was willing to give me the commission because they saw that I helped them pick exactly what they bought.
Yeah.
He's like, they came in with a realtor.
With another realtor. Yeah. Those are the worst. That's happened to me once before
So you
too.
know what he said? The builder, he's like, I'm still willing to give you the commission.
Oh wow.
Do you have something signed with them that I can go to the realtor and say they had something signed?
Yeah.
And I said, no.
Frig.
And so as a result, you bite the bullet. And then when I found that out, I confronted the client in a nice way. I just said the purchaser, and I just said, look, you should have told me at the beginning we're commission based, and the husband was so apologetic because he was the one referred to me. And I told the person who referred him to me, I said, this is what he did, just so you know, like how he is, like this is what he did in terms of what happened with us. And then the wife was just so pissed off at me.
Wait, at you
it's
for
none
what?
of your business who we work with.
No,
it's this
she
and
didn't
that.
say that for real.
And she was on the meeting. She was on the call 3 times.
No way.
She in writing. She's like, it's none of your business. You don't need to message us. We could use whoever we want. And I'm just like, you're right. You're entitled to use whoever you want, but don't you feel like you're a shitty person for doing what you just did with me? I have a family. I have time. I have other clients. I have a business we're running. I have things we're doing. Don't you think that that's a really shitty thing to do as a person?
That's what people don't understand.
What am I? The scum of the earth? What am I?
Chopped liver? No, for real.
Like dirt that you could walk over? Like we're people. We're humans. Maybe you've heard bad things about realtors, and so you look at them in that light, but you shouldn't. That's stereotyping. That's generalizing.
The dumbest thing ever that people do, and it's like people don't understand. It's like, yeah, guys, we have a family too. Like that hour, this guy 3 hours on those Zoom calls total.
No, it was a bit longer.
Longer.
Each meeting was more than an hour going.
Oh my gosh.
I taught them pre-construction. They had never known
the
what
whole
pre-construction. The whole thing with
Holy.
them. Then I taught them about the opportunity that they were looking at, and then I helped them pick which one, narrow it down.
Wow. Come on, it's like, guys.
And we did a mortgage pre-approval.
Like that too. Wow.
It was 5
really
hours
grinded my gears even more.
5 hours, man.
And
imagine 5 hours of your work. How much do you get paid when you're listening to this as a business owner or as a laborer? How much are you getting paid? Imagine you worked 5 hours at your job.
I said we're not paying you.
Let's say you're working in a building and you're in construction, and maybe I know a lot of our clients are in construction and they love it. But let's say, you're having a day where it's like you can't wait to get home. On top of that day, you worked 5 hours lifting things, doing things, and you didn't get paid on it. The boss said you did that pro bono. You're not getting paid. That person would walk off the job.
Anybody would
walk off the job. Rightfully so. We can't walk off on the job because it's our career, it's our business, and unfortunately, these are the things that exist in our business. So we take the good with the bad, and we build a proper business. We don't let this at all mess with our ability to take care of clients. No. What we do though is we do things differently and better the next time around.
We learn, we adapt.
We get better, and we take response. Just so you guys know, we're just venting. We take 100,000% accountability for all these things. Even that deal before with that realtor, I take 1,000% accountability for that deal not going through. I take it, not her. I take it. For the reason being is I knew what my client could have done differently, and I knew how I could have approached it a little bit more aggressively, a little bit more differently, and we could have got the deal done. Now the client's not upset at me. The client's upset at themselves. The realtor's doing what she's doing. I'm upset at me. I'm not upset at my client. I'm upset at me. So even that deal with that I just mentioned where they went in with somebody else, I'm upset at me. Why didn't I sign something at the beginning?
Yeah, there's always responsibility on our end, 100%.
And it's 100% on you. Always. For those of you guys listening that this has happened to in your business, and it may have left you bitter. Yeah. Early in my career, like now I've been doing this 11 years. Early in my career, like 11 years is a long time, you guys. I started young and I'm young now, but 11 years is a long time in business. It would really piss me off. Yeah. Like it would piss me off. Like I'd be upset for like 2 days at the world. But it was I grew up, I matured. It was my responsibility. It was my fault.
Yeah, for sure.
I let that happen.
Something very similar.
It's a controllable.
Happened. Yeah, something like that happened to me where I was like, you know what? Like, this is the situation's shitty, but it's still 100% my fault. I booked a showing. Long story short, we get an email confirming the showing, and that email just pretty much says like where the lockbox is and what the code is, so you can access the key and whatnot. Long story short, and I really learned from this. I went to go meet with my clients, and it was a condo building. And for a condo building, it's always, you know, at the rear end of the condo building, and it's like at the stairwell, wherever it is, right? But it's at the site. Long story short, I go and I meet there, and I open up the email to see where the actual lockbox is. And, you know, this guy put the lockbox halfway across town.
What?
Like, not at the condo.
Why?
And I've never seen that in my life.
Like
and
at a real estate office?
At a real estate office. Yeah. And I'm like...
But there wasn't a closer real estate office? Because they could team up with other guys.
No, I don't know if there was. But I was just like, were you just lazy? Like, you didn't do that? But then I started complaining to myself. And then I said, you know what? Don't complain. It's not that guy's fault.
I should have
read that email.
Yeah.
Like, don't assume... Even though for the past 5 years I've always went and it's never been that case, it happens.
Oh no, you can't assume
you can't assume that.
I've picked up enough lock boxes not at site.
Oh really? So that was the first time that happened to me, and
there's a first for everything.
I learned a lesson. I'm like,
it grinds my gears if they put it far away from the site. That shouldn't happen.
It was 15 minutes away.
Yeah,
it was far.
Yeah, that's a little bit far.
That's 15 minutes, and then 15 minutes back. That's 30 minutes driving extra.
Yeah, but that's like there should have been a closer office.
They
or
should have
something.
thought about. People showing it.
But
and
you
stuff.
should have read the email.
But I should have read the email first. So going back to what you were saying, though, we always take 100% responsibility. And guess what? I've learned, just open it and just read it. You never know. You never know where they might put this damn thing. You know what I mean? In terms of the lockbox, right? And go looking.
Maybe there is no lockbox. Maybe you go direct.
Says go direct.
You have to know how to
approach it, whatever it is. Yeah, if you had to buzz them or page them, whatever it is. So, like that was something that really grinded my gears. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? Take responsibility, man. Don't make up excuses. It's easy to give excuses, and this kind of goes back to the mindset thing that we always talk about. Always just get better, do better, and as long as you have that responsibility, that's where you will grow. But if you're prideful and you think you know everything, then you're never going to grow. You're never going to get better. Yeah.
One final quick example, and we have to let you guys go, is there's this guy who I was trying to do a deal for his piece of land that he owns, and he's a realtor. He's a broker of record. And what he did is he bought the land beside it, 2 pieces beside it, and then he chopped it up into so he bought 3 pieces, and then he realized that it didn't make sense to have all 3 pieces because one of them just was extra. And so he was selling it to basically recover a bunch of costs. And he's selling that one now, but the other 2, he combined it and made it a bigger parcel. And that's all he needs to do what he's trying to do. So that other piece that he's trying to sell is suitable for a good like triplex, fourplex, whatever it is. And so this guy was asking way too much money. It was sitting on the market like probably 8 months, didn't sell. And when I called him to do the deal, I'm like, look, I'm the right buyer, but it's not worth what you're asking. It's, I'm going to give you about 75K to 80K less than asking price. Not much, but worth it. The numbers made sense. Oh, this guy like ripped me a new one. So then maybe you're not the right buyer for this. So who says it's not worth what I'm asking? I said the market.
The fact that you've been on the market for 8 months.
I said the fact that you've been on the market for 8 months. He's like, well, it doesn't matter. He's like, what if somebody lists their property for $1 million and they decide not to sell it, but it's worth $1 million? Does that mean it's not worth $1 million? I go, no, it means it's worth $1 million, but you decided not to sell it. Your case, you've listed it. No one wants to buy it. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
That number.
No one's willing to pay that number, which means no one thinks it's worth it.
So you know what this guy did? So I said, you know what? I said his tone was really, really aggressive from the very beginning, but really like insulting and condescending. So I go, I need to pause you for a second. I go, I'm the buyer, but here's the thing. I'm a broker of record. I'm representing myself. I go, is that how you speak to people? I go, I don't appreciate the way you're speaking to me. I said this right on the phone with him.
Wow, nice.
He's like, you don't appreciate the way you're speaking. And then he pulled one of these like, okay, Matthew, have a great day. And he hung up the phone, and I'm like, yeah, have a great day. I'm like, this guy pulled one of those where he simmered down, calmed his voice down, acting like he's calm, but he wasn't. He was so aggressive that I'm like, screw this guy. There's another way better property down the road. I'll pay a little bit more for it, but it's much bigger. And I did. And that's what I did. This guy, fast forward now, that was like, when was that? That was October 2022. So he was already on the market prior to then, right?
Okay.
At the time of this recording, we're almost June 2023. And the property's still available.
Still listed, eh?
He reduced it by like 10 grand.
Yeah, like that's going to get a lot of more people
And it's
interested.
been on the market now. Like, what are we, June? So now you're talking almost 1 year.
Almost a year.
Like, since it's already been listed. So I don't get it. Like, don't you want to do a deal? Don't you want to sell the property? It's listed.
Maybe he's not motivated to sell.
He's
they
not
just
motivated.
want
Why
to
are you
fish.
listed?
They want to fish.
Yeah, he wants to fish. He wants to get someone willing to be dumb enough to pay for that number.
For something, yeah. 100%.
But instead of like acknowledging that, saying, look, I'm waiting for a buyer, that's my number.
Yeah.
This guy went condescending and rude towards me.
I don't appreciate that, man. I don't appreciate that.
Especially broker of record to broker of record. There should be some mutual respect.
Camaraderie, mutual respect for sure for that, you know. There's just those people have no respect for themselves, so why would they respect others, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I always say. And it's one of those things where it's unfortunate, but this is life, guys. You're always going to interact with certain people. It's never about you. They're just kind of projecting, right, on what they're dealing with, whatever it is with their own personal lives. So I never let that get a hold of me and bother me, because I don't think twice.
No,
There's no need to give it a thought. Right?
Exactly.
So you just move on with your day. I'm sure you had a great day. You moved on from
when
it.
I bought the other property.
you bought the other property. There you go.
And now I might go buy his for offer him another $250.
offer him less.
Offer him less.
Oh my god.
But yeah, you guys.
Great.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know, leave us a comment, like, and subscribe. Maybe tell us what grinds your gears. If you've ever had a bad experience with a realtor or in your own business, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on Instagram at Matthew Ablakan or at Danny Ablakan. We respond to our own messages, and let's continue the conversation.
Yeah, write something in the comment that pisses you off. We want to read it. We want to hear about it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We're out.
We're out.